Hello, spellcasters of all shapes and sizes. My name is Chance. Welcome to my Spellbook, and thank you so much for tuning into the 20th episode of our first level spell series. Do you ever just wish you could understand everyone? All the time? Well, if that's the case, let me introduce you to Comprehend Languages, usable by the Bard, Sorcerer, Warlock, and the Wizard. Of course, through extension, anyone else with their access to the spell list would also have this, and it is found in the Player's Handbook. Let's get into the mechanics real quick here, just so we kind of get the gist of what we're talking about. The cast time is 1 action. You can also ritual cast this for 10 minutes. Very cool stuff, so no need to really burn up a spell slot. The range is self. The duration is an impressive 1 hour. And the effect at a glance is as followed. You understand the literal meaning of any spoken language that you hear. You also understand any written language that you can see, so long as you can touch the surface on which the words are written. It takes about 1 minute to read 1 page of text. The spell doesn't decode secret messages in a text or glyph, such as an arcane sigil that isn't part of a written language. So that's fair. The components, it's actually a Holy Trinity spell, believe it or not. It is somatic, material, and verbal, meaning you have to gesture with one hand. There is a material component, in this case a pinch of soot and salt, and a verbal component, meaning you have to speak forth an incantation. The school is unsurprisingly divination. I suppose it could also be enchantment, but it is divination by 5e standards. The full description, however, is as followed. For the duration, you understand the literal meaning of any spoken language that you hear. You also understand any written language that you can see, but you must be touching the surface on which the words are written. It takes about 1 minute to read a page of text. This spell doesn't decode secret messages in a text or glyph, such as an arcane sigil that isn't part of a written language. So, pretty cool. There's a little bit to unpack there, though. First and foremost, you understand the literal meaning of any spoken language you hear. So if there's a lot of jargon in the language or a lot of things that are taken contextually, it might be kind of hard to understand. You essentially understand languages like a lizard person would, like very simple, very kind of cut and dry, very literal, right? However, that caveat does not apply to the written languages. So on the written languages, this is up to your DM's discretion. I kind of get the gist of what the spell's saying, but this is kind of a little bit of a loophole. So on the written language, the only caveat is you must be touching the surface, meaning you can get the contextual underlay without really worrying too much about it. So I think it's very useful. The only problem would be if it's in a position where you can't physically touch it, and even then I would argue that mage hand would still count as physically touching. Naturally, that's up to your DM's discretion. The decoded messages thing kinda makes sense as well. Yeah, I don't know. I'd play that one by ear too, actually. It depends on your character's background, whether or not they would understand parts of it. I'd have them roll history, I guess, with disadvantage if it's feasible that their characters could have run across at some point in their time. In any case, let's look into some alternative uses here. So one that I really like is being able to eavesdrop on people who you wouldn't ordinarily be able to, or who wouldn't really suspect you of eavesdropping on them. This would be really good for the exotic languages, especially, because it would be fairly safe to assume that people would speak those openly, only to members of their sect or group or race, or however you want to break it down in your world. So eavesdropping would be a really good use for this, and on that same kind of note we were talking about earlier about the understanding the context behind written words, if you happen to see some text or tone that's in illegible writing and you'd really like to understand it, this spell would kind of get you there. Now I would caution you a little bit, because what's written in a lot of these books, particularly the ones to do with the more chaotic kind of Cthulhu's and gods of that kind of mind altering, bending, old god type deal. It would probably do you more harm than good to read it. That being said, I mean, your characters, whatever they would do, just make sure it's immersive, right? In any case, guys, that's about all I got for you. If you have any crazy uses or alternative uses or stories or anything like that, please post them down in the comments below. I love reading them. I know everyone tuning in does as well. I've had some really great conversations with you guys, so keep up the good work. And without further ado, thank you so much, and as always, happy casting.